Two ladies exploring the personal stories and experiences of women in ufology and the paranormal.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Women in the Dark with Abi and Nat. This is our inaugural show, so welcome to one and all. We are working in conjunction with Pursuit of the Paranormal, our fellow podcasters, and of course UFO Identified, of which Abi and I are both active researchers and members of the group. So we are doing this podcast looking at ladies and females within the UFO and paranormal field, and sort of doing a bit of exploring about what it's like to be a female in this field, because sometimes you can feel like you're a tiny little fish in the sea. So we would like to start by welcoming our very first guest, and that is Sacha Christie. Welcome, Sacha, to our little podcast. We met Sacha when she came to do some speech at our recent UFO Identified mini-con. And Sacha is an experiencer and podcaster herself. So if you would just like to introduce yourself to the listeners, Sacha, and tell us a little bit about you, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Sacha. I live in Liverpool. I'm from Leeds, though. I've had UFO sightings like pretty much all my life. Nothing, major, but until 1997 when I went to Wales with my boyfriend, his sister, their uncle, his nephew, and my son. And we saw two UFOs. Well, we saw one in the sky, and then a little while later, one had landed on the ground behind us. And, well, the rest is history, really. That kind of did all our heads in. And after about 8 years, I came to the UFO community, and I've just been yabbering ever since. So.
So how does it feel to you as a woman to be part of the UFO community, which is predominantly male orientated, although there are more of us ladies coming through at the moment? So how has it been as an experience for you as a female in this field?
Rough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can relate to that, can't we, Abs?
Very rough. Especially with me being quite outspoken and opinionated. Not like that.
Yeah.
So you still got to be kind of diminutive or polished, super pretty, well turned out. I've had people saying to me, "Oh, what you need to do is put on a nice power suit and have some photographs taken, and promote yourself that way." So basically, they want you to be authentic, but also fake at the same time, because they don't want you to actually be you at all. And for example, the stuff that I've been through has been really quite traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah.
I get shut down all the time. Even today, there's been an incident. It just happens all the time. Today I've seen someone saying that people who've had negative experiences. Well, no, what he's saying was we've got to move away from fear, because we're still swinging in the trees if we're living it, live with fear, or we react with fear to the phenomena. But you can't not react. A fight or flight reaction is an automatic response. You have got no control over it, no say over the matter at all.
No.
Like I explained when I was doing the talk that, when whatever it was ran up behind me, I ran and I thought to myself, run. But by the time my monkey brain had actually engaged with the situation, I'd already been running for maybe 4 or 5 seconds. So I didn't have any control over that. And that really gets to me, because you're kind of saying I'm a caveman or a cavewoman for having been terrified and running for my life without any control over it. I was that terrified, I went blind. They call it hysterical blindness in the war.
Yeah.
So how could I possibly have any control over any of that? And then when you talk about it, it's like, oh, you're so negative. You only have negative experiences because you're negative,
Yeah.
So, but well, then, and the same people will say, well, it runs in families and it's happened from birth. So how can a baby be negative? Do you know what I'm saying? There's just the things that they say don't even make any sense. There's no logic in any of it. And,
No.
you know, I bite back. Well, I don't necessarily bite back, but I will say something. And obviously then I'm the problem.
Of course. Of course. And as you say, it is a natural reaction to that fight or flight, to run from something. If, a zombie killer clown was chasing you, you'd run away,
Yeah.
That's a natural reaction for anyone to have. If someone jumps out at you, you jump back. I don't think we should be persecuted as women for having that reaction when,
Well, men would as well, you know.
of course they would.
Yeah, you'd have to have your adrenal glands removed to not have that reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure you would. And how do you find skeptics in the field of ufology with you as a woman? Do you feel that as a woman you get more people who are skeptic about stuff or not, would you say?
I would say, in my personal experience, that I've had more kindness and understanding from skeptics than I
Right.
have from people who believe.
Okay, interesting.
I've been on panel debates with Chris French and other skeptics for ASAP at Bath and I think Worcester University.
Hmm.
And they make you think of things that you've never thought of. I still don't think they're right, but I've had some great conversations with skeptics. Debunkers are not skeptics; they're debunkers.
Yeah.
They're two totally different
Hmm.
kettles of fish.
Yeah.
But as far as like skeptics, some of the skeptics actually are some of my biggest supporters. Nobody likes Andy Roberts in ufology, but he's been solid with me for I don't even know, maybe a decade.
Mm.
And he's written about me in 14 times. I've been described as an experiencer of note, things like that. And this is from people who are not in the believe me business.
Yeah.
So as far as skeptics are concerned, I'm fine with them. If
Mm.
they're nasty and weird, well, I'm not going to bother with them because they're nasty and weird. If we can have a conversation, great. Because you think you've thought of everything, but you haven't until someone says something, and then you can consider it, come back and say, well, I don't think it's that because of these reasons.
Yeah.
And that's a great conversation to have, isn't it? So
It's like diving down a rabbit hole, isn't it? The more you dig at it, the more questions come up, the
yeah,
more answers you're looking for, and the stranger the whole shebang becomes.
yeah. But
Um,
I know there's no answers,
yeah.
So well, there are answers, but they're not attainable.
Mm.
We probably will never know, but it doesn't mean we're never going to stop trying to find some or something. So where do you go with people who are a sold audience?
Yeah.
They're sold. You know, there's nothing to bounce off. I want to try and figure things out, so I need people who are going to challenge the way that I think,
Hmm.
not just agree with everything I say.
Yeah, purely. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah,
There's got to be that challenge and that balance to it all to make it, a level playing field.
yeah,
I know Abby and I experience skeptics a lot of the time. I wouldn't say that men or women, sort of skeptics or non-believers, whatever you want to call them, are any worse than the other. But we get the rolling of the eye, the oh, here they go again, the tinfoil hat brigade.
Why do they bother with us? Why do they bother?
Yeah. And I quite often say to my biggest skeptic, who is my mum, who doesn't believe in anything paranormal or anything UFO related at all, I say to her, "I'll give you £100, Mum, if you go in that haunted house for the night." "No, I won't," she says. "Well, why
Mhm.
not?"
Yeah,
"Well, because I'll get frightened." "Well, why would you be frightened if you don't believe?" "Hmm. Why don't you come out and do a sky watch with us?" "Well, no, because
yeah,
I'll get frightened." "Well, what's there to be frightened about if you
definitely.
don't believe?"
I said that to a friend of mine. We had a weird experience, and her dog actually wouldn't come into the bunk barn that we'd rented out in the Dales. He would not come in. And every time the door opened, that dog was gone. And he just would not come in, literally dragging it in on its collar, and it did not want to be in there.
Yeah.
I think personally, because of the style of it, I think it had been probably used for dog fights.
Right.
And the dog could smell something terrifying or terror, so he wouldn't come in. But maybe it was something paranormal as well, because we did have quite a lot of weird anomalies in the photographs. And I'm taking pictures and going, because I'm not a big orb believer, but some of them are weird, and I'm like, that's not a typical orb. What's this, And Julia, she was saying that she didn't believe in God. She doesn't believe in ghosts. She doesn't believe in the afterlife. When you're dead, you're dead. I said to her, all right, go upstairs in the dark then. And she said, no. I said, why not?
Yeah.
There's nothing to be frightened of if nothing else exists. And she was like, oh.
Yeah.
So you do believe in something.
I know. I think it's just easier for people to say they don't believe, because then they don't have to question and think about something that could be potentially life-changing, world-changing, and bloody scary.
This is it, because most people just want to feel safe.
Yeah, of course.
This is what people don't feel well, because they don't feel safe. Mm-hmm. They don't feel secure. Mental health crisis at the moment is because people don't feel safe and they don't know how they're going to manage. Yeah. We need to feel safe, and we need to know what our environment is and where we stand in it for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Being an experiencer and facing these difficulties of people turning away and not wanting to get involved and not wanting to hear it, is that what led you to strike out on your own and get your own channel going?
No, actually, I did have a co-host, Guy Weddell, but he died. And the reason why I do it on my own is because my mental health is all over the place. I can be fine for ages, and then sometimes I'm not. If I've made a commitment to someone else and I don't feel well, that makes me feel even more unwell. So I kind of do things on my own, because then I can't let anyone down.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say, I really don't feel like it, because it can be really like last minute. I'm autistic as well, so I've got issues, sensory and like all kinds of weird stuff that goes on, like that makes me feel so immobilized, paralyzed and ill that sometimes I'm just like, I can't. And that's okay if I'm just doing it myself, I'm not letting anyone down. So that's why I ended up doing things on my own.
The other thing about it is, did you have trouble getting some of the higher profile people like Robert Salas and Sean Kane? Did you have trouble getting them to actually speak to you?
No, not Bob. Bob Salas is a diamond. Him and Marilyn will be there for anyone having a hard time. The high profile speakers, I understand now. When I first came to the community, I wanted to speak to those people because I was genuinely having these experiences, and I genuinely needed someone to say some sensible things to me that would make me calm down a bit or make me feel, okay. And I realize now that because there's so many fakes and so many attention seekers and so many Klingons and so many vampires and parasites in ufology, that it's just like, it's overwhelming. I've been overwhelmed. It's not so bad now. But there was a time when people were messaging me all the time, and I just couldn't keep up. And I wanted to help people because it helps me helping other people. But then it becomes overwhelming when there's so many. And then I found out a few people are complete liars. Some of the people that I really vested a lot of time into are absolute liars. So, it's just a minefield. So I understand why they don't want to engage with people who have just arrived on the scene. I've had people come to me and they don't even know who Nick Pope is. That's authentic. Yeah. I all I know is what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Of course.
But to a lot of people, they're like, if you don't know this, you don't know that. If you don't know everything, they don't want to know you. So it's very difficult. I try not to be that person. I try not to be out of reach. But also at the same time, I'm one of everybody else. I'm the same as everyone else. I'm just okay with talking in public. I'm okay being opinionated. I'm okay doing this. And not everyone is built for being public.
Yeah.
you know, that doesn't make me any different to them when you get down to the basics. Without those people, I'm on my own. Those people are me. I'm them. You know, we are the same. We're having these experiences, and we're trying to figure it out. And like, I don't see myself as any different to anyone else.
Have you ever had any negative press or media coverage?
E.T. go home. The Daily Star. What a hatchet job, nearly swollen. So I have really taken time to learn how to tell my story in a way that cannot be misconstrued, that it is what it is version.
Yeah.
And they managed to actually butcher the hell out of it and me. Just to the point where I shut all my social media down, shut and removed all the videos off YouTube and things like that to protect the people I've done videos with more. You know, like I've got skin that goes to the bone now. But that's from brutality. It's not because, you know, I'm great. It's because I've had to toughen up, you know.
No, we get that where UFO identified, if the press get on to us for something, we have a group discussion first.
Yeah.
Before we say yay or nay, because there are some that we know they're just going to rip it to shreds, and that's not what we're here for.
Yeah,
that's
the
not
press
what we're about.
and the media, they are all the same. I've been involved in several projects that were going to be all about, you know, presenting things properly, and every single one of them turned to be a hatchet job, you know, like a hit piece.
Yeah. We're very lucky that recently Abs and one of our friends and colleagues from the C5 UK group did a piece with the Daily Mail about women in ufology.
And we were sweating. Sweating.
I think you're certainly for speaking to Holly and Abs sort of like 48 hours plus to when the article came out, there was that thought of, oh my God, they are going to make us look absolutely, you know, crazy ladies, etc. But actually it turns out that the piece was really positive, and it was about I think they used the phrase, we're not all tinfoil hat wearing weirdos, you know, that actually women in ufology are normal women from lots of different types of backgrounds, race, culture, you know, job, everything, and that actually we are quite normal. We don't, you know, sit in a circle and chant on one leg or, you know, do anything bizarre like that.
We're not hiding behind the sofa terrified. The first draft of that they sent me was Liverpool granny scared to leave the house in case she gets abducted by aliens. I was like, literally, no one will even know who you're talking about, because I am not a scared person. I have been scared in the moment, but I'm fierce and fearless, you know, and I was like, nobody who knows me will even know who the hell you're talking about if you write that. And how awful. I said to her, you're a woman. Why are you writing about women like this?
Yeah. It's that perception, isn't it, that we're all crazy?
And it's the sensationalism.
Yeah. And the Kinsellas had been in the Daily Star a couple of months before. Great write-up. It's like, why do you do this with men and then make women look like hysterical freaks?
Yeah.
You know, it's misogyny.
I love the Kinsella twins. Big shout out to the Kinsella twins.
Yeah, I love you guys. Call them boys. Men. Rawr. Yeah, they are absolutely like Phil. He is what we need. You guys are what we need. Paul Sinclair, what we need.
Yeah.
New stuff. New thoughts, new ideas, not regurgitated, not stolen, reworded and presented. You know, this is original material. So that's what we need.
So we've had a lot of good feedback about the way we do things. And it's from our peers. But when you start to go up in the ladders then they're like, yeah, no. Just avoid that. Shove her to side. Nobody knows her. Nobody knows anything about her. She hasn't got that much out. No, these are they're too new, and we tend to get shot down. And you mentioned Nick Pope. He gets a lot of bad press. I take nothing to do with that. I can only speak on what you.
Because he's having negative, because he has a negative experience and he's talking about
Yeah.
negative aspects of it. That's why.
I can only go on the experience I had with him, and he was one of the only ones who got back to me.
Yeah. Abs has always said that, haven't you?
Yeah.
That anything you ask, anything you want is
Anything you need,
best.
even if it's just a little bit of advice, he'll email you within a day. He will
I asked
answer
him
you.
to help me form a structure in my mind for me to write my own book. He offered to write the book for me or with me. You know, like, who does that?
Yeah, that's highly
For
unusual.
nothing, you know, just out of love. You know, who does that? That is just amazing.
Can I ask you a question about fear? How do you think the fear that you experienced during your experiences, how do you think that shaped you as a woman for the rest of your life?
Wow. I say to people, you know, you feel weak, but when you feel weak and you're still doing everything you need to do, you are at your strongest.
Mm-hmm.
My fear, that experience and others laid me to waste, completely crushed my soul. And I had children. I still had to get up. I still had to do the school run. And sometimes I'm stood on the school run, waiting, staring. Boom, 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 boom. Memories of something that had happened a couple of nights before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm at school gate surrounded by people. I've got to get my kids. We're going to the co-op to get something for tea. I have to step into mother mode and put that on the back burner. So I thought that it had ruined me. But in actual fact, it's when I look back, I think, my God, how the hell did you get through that? It's given me a strength and given me an insight into life. You know, fear is horrible. It's absolutely awful. And if you can tell yourself in the moment, it's not happening now, so I'm all right now, you know, that's how you get through it. As for shaping me, it's made me this person. I resent this because I was very giddy, bubbly, and I still am, and lively, like Tigger, you know, rambunctious. It took that away from me completely. It took that away. And I resented how it changed me because it left me in a mess. But I'm not a mess now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's given me this strength that I would never have ever imagined that I could have had, because I relied on other people. I was codependent. I was a type of person that I couldn't get through life on my own. But then because of this, because of my mental health and blah, 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 I've spent a lot of time on my own as a single mum and all the rest of it, you know, broken relationships because they can't cope with what's going on either, that kind of thing. Not just, I mean, some of it was me and you know, me not being well, obviously, but it was, if you're in a relationship with me, it's happening to you, you know? So it's made me very resilient and self-sufficient and capable in ways that I would never have imagined. So I think I'd rather be this person that I am now than who I might have been if I'd have had a nice life. I don't know. I mean, I think that's probably something a question that ought to be asked people that have known me all my life. Because I have trouble perceiving myself as well. This is another issue with autism, isn't it? Like self-perception. So, you know, it's hard.
So when you go into relationships with new men in your life, how do you broach the subject of your experiences? Because it's not the easiest topic to sort of blurt out over a glass of wine, is it?
Well, to be fair, they've all known because they've met me in the moment, in the thing when I'm doing my shows or I'm doing whatever. This is who I am. I've never been afraid to say it. I mean, I've lost friends who think people think I'm insane now. They think I'm insane. It's fair play. You know, it is crazy talk. you've been programmed to think it's crazy talk anyway. So
I don't think that's gender specific though. I think everybody in the UFO life.
Yeah, you're probably right.
From that.
Yeah. But for the most part, they've none, and a couple have been attracted to me because of it. And then they think they can handle it. You know, they've got savvy complexes. I can. No, you can't.
No.
Nobody can. And I was as much of a fool as, like, you know, like thinking that everything would be all right. So I've been with Dave 10 years. He was already in the subject. He's had experiences. You know, his sister was psychic, so he's had loads of paranormal stuff. So we just got in a groove, and that was fine. But yeah, I've only had one person who didn't believe me and laughed at me, but he was idiot. Anyway, personality-wise.
Broaching on the paranormal, where do you stand on the paranormal stuff? Are you as much into that as the ufology stuff, or
more so? It's into me. Like, from being a kid, like, I didn't get into it, it got into me. The only reason I'm looking at it is because it was looking at me. Like, I've shut it down, run away from it, blocked it out. I have got abilities, and it's taken me a long time to accept that and face it and try and control it and get to grips with it and control my environment, because whatever it is about me, my children and family, we attract this stuff. So, you know, I've lived in a couple of haunted houses, but it seemed that every house I lived in was haunted. It took me years to realize it was me. So I move into a house, it'd be fine. After a while, it wouldn't be fine.
Yeah.
What's going on? It's taken me years to realize that it was stuff that was coming in.
Yeah, we relate to that, don't we, Ab?
Oh, very, very, very much so.
So I had to face it. I have been terrorized in some houses. The last one I lived in Leeds before I moved to Liverpool was an annex of hell. I am not even kidding. Every single day, several times a day, stuff was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids were coming to me and they're going, "Oh, Mum, this has happened." I'm going, "Oh, don't worry, it'll just be this," literally invalidating them. But I was thinking that I was trying to, you know, I was putting the mind at rest and that you wouldn't be freaking out. But in actual fact, I was just invalidating them. They ganged up on me one day in the kitchen and wouldn't let me out of the kitchen. And they were like, "No, it's this. And he's seeing a dead boy behind the sofa all the time. He's running around in the bedroom." And my oldest is like, "I'm not sleeping in that bedroom anymore because of that little lad that keeps running around," you know. And it's just constant. In fact, I thought everyone's lives were like that. I thought this was like, as a teenager, I thought, just when I was a teenager, is when I realized that it wasn't like this for everybody. So
yeah,
I had that with my kids and all. It's like, mum, they won't let me sleep. And hearing somebody calling very softly my lad's name when he's in bed, and then I'm like, "Mum, they won't let me sleep. They won't let me sleep." So we had to move. Yeah,
well, I spent 10 years intensively studying this, how to deal with it, how to get it out of your house, how to keep it out of your house, how to put barriers up, what to use. Literally, my kitchen, I've got a French dresser. All it is my concoctions, banishing powders of all kinds. I have snake poo. I have lion poo. I have all kinds of poo. And
we need to get some apps. We need to get our hands on some different
concoctions that are made of copper, and I make art that is specifically for warding. All the dolls that I make are wardens for warding and keeping things out. Even though they look creepy, it's not to attract, it's to repel. The art that I do, I use things like copper and iron, sulfates, because that's a salt. So you're using salt with an iron or copper, and these are all things to banish with and you know, put barriers up. So that's my whole thing now. People don't really know because I don't tell people all the time, because all that happens then is I get asked for free stuff, which is fine, and I've done most of it for free anyway, helping people take control of their own environment. But you know, there's an expectation then. And I got told off, "You've got a money block." And I was like, yeah, because I'm not a greedy person. This is not about money, you know. But so yeah, I've had to have a word with myself about that. So it's paid for materials.
It kind of kicks my high strangeness question into touch. I think that's a bit redundant now. Yeah, it's. Do you find that they have gender bias in the paranormal societies as well?
It's just permeates through society, full stop. So you can't take a subject out of society because it's made up of society. So those ideals and ideas are wherever you go. So there's groups of people that are really breaking down those walls. You know,
we've even found that women can be the worst for it.
Yeah, they are.
They'll pull. You put it forward. You put something forward. They'll tear strips off it. You explain to them, actually, no, you've got that the wrong way around because it's this, and they're like, well, you're just doing that then. So it doesn't matter what we do.
No.
Yeah, I've been attacked by a lot of women in ufology. I've had opportunities taken away from me because of jealousies and things like that, you know, or they don't like me because I'm not all
yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not Botox or to hell and my face doesn't quite fit with your magazine cover.
And I'm not going to have photographs taken with me in a power suit. I'm not going to pretend to be something that I'm not or someone that I'm not.
No.
You know,
How was a power suit going to help you when you're running about in an asylum at 2:00 in the morning with your camera?
And a pair of high heels on when you want to run for your life.
With my arms folded.
Or a power suit and the Jimmy Choos when you're stood in the middle of a muddy field with your binoculars at this guy going, don't mind me, chaps.
Yeah. If you're running for your life, you want to go in a pair of trainers or a pair of welly boots or something that'll take you, or your bare feet if needs be.
Running shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, Sacha, that we've experienced in UFO Identified, and some of the general things when Abi and I have been communicating, just the two of us, we have a lot of, since we've started speaking out, particularly, we have a lot of very even stranger experiences. So a lot of the time when we're on either a Zoom or a call or whatever it may be, discussing what we discuss, we can hear voices in the background. We can hear as if someone's listening in on our calls. We've had orbs and strange lights seen behind us. All kinds of lights. Abby's lights flicker non-stop when we start talking about it. And we even laugh when we have a group meeting and we go to a pub. As soon as we start speaking about it, the lights go. Yeah. So we found, since we've become more vocal, we've certainly had a lot of stranger experiences, as if we're, I hate to sound paranoid, but almost being watched or listened to or something. Have you ever experienced anything like that since you've been
my God,
out?
Yes. Right.
So it's not just us.
No, it's not.
I don't know if that's making me feel better or worse.
If you're in it or you're genuine, they want to know what you know. They want to know who you're talking to, what they're saying.
Yeah.
They want to know where you've been and what you've seen. Yeah. Like with abductees, there's follow-up abductions. We call them my labs, but I don't think it's military. I think it's something else. But they wear uniform. The guy in Tesco's on the door wears a uniform. He's not a military. I mean, so I've had, even my mum knew this. She rang me up one day and she was like, this is not code, but your dad's got to go to Wakefield today to pick up some cookers. And we could hear rattling, chewing, you know, like someone listening. I said, yes, mother, the dead crow flies backwards over Moscow. You know, I thought, well, if you're going to be there, I'm having a laugh with this, right? And then I did a show. Someone was trying to punk me, and they kept bringing in shows that I was on. But I think it was something to do with the military, because I always stick my nose in military business, especially with the UFOs and stuff like that, and technology and weapons, and trying to explain things sensibly, like Rendlesham was trying to find sensible explanations for that. And I've had weird vans pulling up, etc., doing stuff in my drains for no reason. Big, what are you doing? Like, anyway. Mm-hmm. So this one particular show, I had this guy phoning up, and I was like, this was the day that I thought, this is definitely not real. And I'd said to someone, I think someone's trying to make a fool out of me here. We'll just go with it and we'll see what happens. And the reason that I think it wasn't just some normal trying to make me look like an idiot was because they cut my phone off and they hacked the site and they stole all the, not all of them, but quite a few of the recordings, including the one that we were doing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Who can do that?
That's pretty intense. I mean, that's...
Yeah, and I've had my mail intercepted as well, and I even phoned the police on the police intercepting my mail, and they were like, "Oh well, if they wanted you to know, there'd have been, you know, if they wanted to go in your mail, you won't know all about it." I said, "Well, they obviously want me to know, then, don't they?"
It's an intimidation
and that
tactic.
helps, doesn't it? Yeah, but it's like, oh, if they were really doing it, you would know. That makes it all right then. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be some kids messing about. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we record now the strange noises that we listen to, and there's an orb flying around behind your
I was
back
just going to
there.
say I saw something wrong by Abi, and like that was not a
Did you
traditional
see that,
orb.
Sacha?
It was
Yeah, it was a moving orb that was going in, you know, not a direction of wind, shall we say. It was changing pace.
This is because I've turned my lights off.
Well, someone's with you. So yeah, we've started recording the strange voices, and sometimes only one of us or two of us can hear it. You know,
I go to my friend Paula. She's an abductee, and we're both psychic. No, we're not skilled, so we can, you know, we're psychic mediums actually, but we're not skilled. So we've just got the ability. We don't know how to do with it. Sometimes it's intermittent, blah blah blah, all the rest of it. But every time we get together, something happens. So we started recording, and then one day I've discovered that my recorder slows things down or speeds things up. So we were having hysterics, laughing at ourselves with these stupid voices. And then while we were listening, because we were messing about doing that, we weren't recording when something happened. She jumped up, punched me in the leg, boom, oh, effing hell. Like, oh, I was like, what? She went, this black ball's just come shooting down from that corner in front of you, and then it's dropped from a ball into the figure of a person. And I was like, oh. She's like, oh, I'm putting kettle on. So she puts the kettle on. I stand up and walk towards us. This is like a breakfast bar in the living room.
Typical British reaction. I'll just go put
kettle on. So the kettle's boiling. And so I started recording, obviously, because something happened. And as I walked over to the breakfast bar, I went, you know, like you do. And I went, oh, I just shuddered. She said, you what? I said, I shuddered. And as I said that, this voice went, I don't know what it was saying, but it sounded as nasty as that.
Yeah.
Right. Freaking me out. I had to sleep in that living room on my own that night as well.
Oh, that's made the arm hairs stand up on my arms.
I get that a lot. And I tell you, this is the worst one though. In the early 90s, when I lived in a haunted house, I could hear someone banging about in the kitchen, which was in the cellar. Put the cellar in the kitchen, in the cellar in the bathroom and the kitchen in the cellar. So wooden floor. I thought, stomp, 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 stomp. It'll make them frighten them off. They'll run out of the kitchen door, out the cellar door. I got to the door of what the old kitchen was, which was now an office. And this voice said in my ear, move over, let me in.
Oh.
I just froze. Move over, let me in. In my head, I went, no. And I legged it upstairs. I woke the fella up and I was like, there's someone in the house. I knew the one because it had whispered in my ear. I was like, you go. Look, I'm not going. I didn't tell him.
We've got a sign for it now. When we hear it, it's like the finger goes up. It's like, and that's because we're hearing
that's listen. Yeah.
And I believe it was on the Weird Sisters. First time I watched them, I'm sitting there and I'm like, hang on a minute, I've just heard a male voice coming through. So I typed the little message out, and Holly had heard it also. I was like, oh, thankfully it's not just me. But I wasn't on video or anything, and I was just watching the chat and listening to it through headphones. But we do get an awful lot of that. We've had strange cars.
Yeah.
We've had strange people turning up. We've had Russians turning up. Well, we've had all sorts like that, and it can get quite scary, quite worrying. But
don't forget, there's a lot of lunatics in ufology, and they gaslight each other. especially when you get to some of this around the super soldier stuff.
Yeah.
All that. They're all terrorizing each other and then blaming phenomena for the stuff that people are doing to each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, like all this Men in Black stuff, I wouldn't trust that. If someone come to my door, I'd be all right. Yeah, all right. Won't say it, but I would have called him a name.
I've got
You know
a
what I
new
mean?
theory on that one. I don't think they need to turn up anymore.
No, they
They do
don't.
it all digitally.
Yeah, of course. They're I'm sure listening to exactly what we're saying right now.
If they're turning up, it is purely to intimidate.
They
And they don't even need to knock on your door for that.
Yeah, they don't need. They're not. They can leave little tiny cameras everywhere if they want
Does it make you paranoid?
Well, I did go through that, but now because of the things that have happened to me in the paranormal world, that paranormal stuff is like I feel watched all the time anyway. And because of the experiences that I've had, really weird things that's like, how could that even happen? Are they in my head? How, like, for example, looking at, oh, have you heard some of that?
There's like a low sort of growly noise.
Yeah, I heard that.
I didn't know. If I had headphones on, I might have. And if I'd have been quiet, which is rare. So I was watching like a light move across the sky at night. So I thought I'll pick a point of reference. I picked a star as a point of reference. When this light got to be about that far away from the point of reference, the point of reference flew off as well. So I was like, how can that happen? How did I, out of all of those thousands of points of light, why did I pick that one? It didn't look any different to any of the others. There's nothing special about it. So what mechanism is in play there that made me pick something out that wasn't what I thought it was, and it was something else? Like, I don't get that. That does my head in. So things like that have made me think, are they in my head? Do they control my eyeballs? You know, you can get a bit kooky with it. But now I'm just like, well, I don't even know what life is, and I don't even know what I am. So people go on about aliens and things like that, but what are humans? What abilities have we got? What are we? What world is this? If we've got this physical stuff going on, but then there's all this stuff that goes on around us that we can't even see or touch. So reality isn't what I thought it was. Yeah. So I don't even know what I am as a human being. So I just go, well, I don't even know what anything is. And if that's what it is, and they are in my head or doing that, and then that's how it is. That is actual life. We're told all these different things, and it makes us think that we know what life is and how the world works. But when you get into this subject, you're like, well, that's all out the window. Is it? Like, so I've kind of plateaued. So I think, well, if they are, and I am, I don't feel schizophrenic about it anymore.
All right, Sacha. So you have your own channel on YouTube and your own podcast.
My YouTube is Paranormal Instigator. I don't know if it comes up if you search Sacha Christie, it might do. My show's on the Paranormal Panorama Network, which is the Outer Limits brand, and it's called Citizen Sane, and it's on once a month, but it's on download sites like Spotify, Apple, whatever. I don't even know them all. There's like, you know, all the little logos.
So wherever you get your
that's
podcast.
about it for me at the moment, because I'm just keeping it all low key, because I'm coming out of a 3-year, you know, I've been trolled kind of incident, so I've just been gentle.
Well, thank you very much for your great insight into the world of ufology and being a female who speaks out. So thank you very much for joining us on our first show.
It's been an honour, and thank you for having me on your first show. I was like, you know.
Not a problem. So anyone who is interested in anything that we've been chatting about tonight, if you want to head over to www.ufoidentified.co.uk, you will find all of our sightings database. You can let us know of any sightings that you've had. We have lots of articles, lots of information about our mini con and our different events that we have on. Next one will be sort of around Christmas. And we shall see everybody on our second show. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sacha.
Bye.
Bye.